XENOPHAGE is an interesting gun with interesting history. It's not your traditional LMG firing the same as, let's say, a Thunderlord, a Hammerhead, 21% Delirium. It's not like that. It has its own unique firing mechanic, if that's what you want to call it. And its interesting history started off kind of rocky. Before I give my verdict of is it good now, I want to just briefly go over its little history. So, XENOPHAGE came out in Shadowkeep era, the Shadowkeep expansion. In this era, it came out and it was, well, it was...
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
It was so bad to the point where Bungie directly had to respond to people saying this is a terrible exotic and it does absolutely nothing. And Bungie immediately responded to this by saying, yep, we're going to increase the damage by 50%. That's how bad it was, and it truly was that bad. Now, I will say the exotic quest to get this gun was actually pretty damn cool, and we need more of those in the game today. Like seriously, please, please. Moving on, though. Once the gun was buffed, eventually it found its way into the meta, but not on its own. Now, while the gun did get buffed and did decent damage in its own right to kill stuff, it combined with that, on top of probably the most destructive mods to ever grace this video game, I'm of course talking about Warmind cells. For those of you that don't know what Warmind cells used to do, today they suck, they used to, quite literally, detonate the entire field of enemies in a single boom. Warmind cells essentially were entire room nukes, and thanks to XENOPHAGE's unique firing and unique killing, it automatically made Warmind cells by killing either 5 regular enemies or by killing one single yellow bar enemy. This includes champions, by the way. As soon as one champion or yellow bar died, you might as well have written off the entire room as dead. That's how powerful Warmind cells were. Now, as I mentioned, thanks to XENOPHAGE's unique killing and how quick it could fire, this allowed you to abuse and just absolutely meme some rooms in the game, even at endgame content level. For example, you could kill a barrier champion, like a servitor, before it even ever put up its anti-barrier shield, and thus killing it, then making a Warmind cell in midair, and then detonating said Warmind cell to just explode the entire room. It was so destructive and ridiculously good that Bungie went and just absolutely nerfed Warmind cells into the damn ground, and admittedly, they kind of did deserve it. But not only did they nerf it into the ground, they also nerfed XENOPHAGE along with it to, I can only think of, make sure this didn't happen a second time. Now, after XENOPHAGE got nerfed, it did kind of lag behind over everything else in the heavy slot for the quote-unquote meta, but eventually Bungie did recently buff XENOPHAGE up again and increased its fire rate back up, and the damage output for LMGs also went up. So, that begs the question, is XENOPHAGE good again? Happy to say XENOPHAGE is actually in a pretty good spot now, as decent damage. Its RPM isn't complete trash anymore. It feels good to actually shoot champions and yellow bar enemies now, and more importantly, with Solar 3.0, we have things to mess with, such as artifact mods where solar exotic plantables create solar elemental wells for flame harvesting, among other things, and as you'll be seeing on screen, it just completely dunks on champions. By the way, this is in a Master Law sector, and I'm on level barely, so I'm killing them in 4 shots very, very easily, as opposed to previously in the past when Warmind cells were good, it used to take 5+ shots just to get a barrier champion down, and with Radiant being incredibly easy to proc, you will easily be able to just shred through them with, without even breaking a sweat, to be honest. Now, it's not to say XENOPHAGE is like Galahorn levels of where it just destroys everything in sight, but given Solar 3.0 being a really good class update, and XENOPHAGE just having a lot of good synergy with that, I feel like it's a A-tier weapon currently in this meta.
Approved.
It's not going to be game-breaking, it's not going to be, you know, I'm going to take this weapon into a world's first day 1 raid kind of situation, but it's definitely an option, especially for people who happen to not get the DLC for Galahorn, or never got Beyond Light to get Lament. You know, it's a good option. And just roll anything with a solar burn in it, take XENOPHAGE, and have fun. Including the GMs this season, which at least features Arms Dealer and I think one more that has solar burn. So, with that being said, I give a seal of approval to XENOPHAGE with the recent buffs. Hopefully you test it out yourself and you have fun with it. And that's it. That's all for this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you enjoyed, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll check you in the next one. Goodbye.